Hello, I'm Dr. Mona Singh, founder of the Pain-Free Body. Now today I'm going to be showing you 3 exercises to get relief from a pain flare-up. These are simple, gentle exercises that address the root cause of the problem. Now let's talk quickly about that, as knowing what the problem is can help get relief quicker or avoid it happening in the first place. And this video will be really helpful for you now and also in the future if it happens again. So I suggest you save it, bookmark it to easily find it later. Now, learning how to navigate your flare-ups and what to do when they come is a really great skill set that you can learn. When you navigate a flare-up, your relationship to pain changes drastically because you know you can get out of any problem that your body throws at you. Experiencing a flare-up or nerve pain can be and often is extremely emotional, and you feel like you've lost control of your body. We are biologically hardwired to associate negative feelings and emotions to unwanted pain, so it's completely natural to have a panicked or stressed response. But if a flare-up is not approached with an appropriate strategy, a flare-up can put you in a dark emotional state, almost feeling stuck or trapped with no way out. And that just further puts the body in a state of despair and the flare-up cycle continues. Now, on the flip side, when you're moving out of a pain flare-up, you feel as though your body's function is actually improving, the symptoms are going away, and this will put you on the opposite end of that emotional spectrum in a happier state of mind because you feel 100% control of your body again. So what do you do when you're in a pain flare-up? Well, pain enters the picture when your body loses balance and function. Pain is telling you that things aren't working in the way that they should. There's something out of kilter in your body. Your body's unable to move in a normal, balanced way, and something in your body is taking on extra stress, strain, and load, and you feel that as pain. So your body's asking you to do something that gives it back that balance and that symmetry. So the key to understanding why you're in a flare-up is to test how your body does a couple of simple functional tests now versus how you do them when you're not in pain. Right now, I totally understand if you don't have that information and you can go straight into the exercises that follow. But I encourage you to watch this so that you learn for the next time, so that you know you can recognize what your body's trying to tell you. So as you do these simple tests, you'll notice that, or you'll likely notice that some parts of your body are working harder now in this flare-up situation because you've lost balance. So maybe, for example, when you usually lie on your back on the floor, both sides of your pelvis are even on the floor, your shoulders are even on the floor. But now in a flare-up, you notice that maybe your left pelvis is slightly off the ground, it's not level with the right side, or your shoulder is kind of peeling off the ground and it's not nicely level with your other shoulder. And that simply means that you're more rotated than normal, and this imbalance, this rotation in your body, is causing stress and strain that you feel as pain. Now, another example is if you can normally stand on one leg with quite easy balance on both legs. So when you stand on your right leg, it's similarly balanced compared to when you stand on your left leg. There's not much difference in the balance between left and right. But now in a flare-up, say you can barely balance on one leg, there's a noticeable difference between your left and right legs. So you can't use your left and your right leg in the same way. You've lost this balance, and that's why you're in this flare-up. There's a high level of imbalance in your body which has placed you in this high state of compensation where one side is working harder than the other. Now, the last example is that maybe you normally sit in a chair fairly evenly on both hips, and you sit in a natural relaxed position, sitting decently and nice and tall. Your shoulders are relaxed and balanced, and your shoulders are stacked nicely over your hips and your pelvis. But now in a flare-up, you're sitting heavier maybe on one side, on one hip. You're totally slouching, maybe you're collapsing the chair, and your muscular system is not giving you that support. So if we reverse engineer that, that means that you're imbalanced. So you're now sitting on one hip more than the other, and you shift your upper body over to one side to try and counterbalance these things. So your hips and your shoulders are no longer working well together. Now, these simple tests are just really helpful information to learn more about what's going on in your body and what's causing this flare-up. So in all these situations, in all the examples of these simple tests, the simple solution is to provide your body what it needs to regain that balance, to stop the overloading compensation so that they can calm down, so you can bring your body back into balance left and right, remove that rotation from your body, and restore this symmetry and balance in your body. And when you do that, you'll find that you'll be out on your way out of a flare-up really, really quickly. So here I have really simple, gentle, restorative exercises in a simple sequence to help you calm down the nervous system, rebalance the muscles, restore the balance in your body to your whole body so that it can work functionally again. So take it slowly, listen to your body, connect with deep diaphragmatic breathing as you do them, feel how your body responds. And when your body is feeling better and the flare-up is gone, I do encourage you to notice how your balance is when you stand on one leg or when you lie on your back. Notice if both sides of your pelvis touch the floor evenly, both shoulders are on the floor. Notice how you're sitting on the chair, if you're sitting, if you're leaning more onto one side, or if you're balanced evenly on both hips. And this can be your kind of baseline that you know is your normal, so that when a flare-up happens again, you can see what's changed and what might be causing your flare-up. It will help you to understand your body better, to know how to find relief quicker in the future. So if you find these exercises help you and you want a personalised roadmap to help you restore balance and function to your body to get long-term relief, then visit thepainfreebody.co.uk to find out more information. So let's get into these exercises. Do them in the order that I take you through them and listen to what your body tells you. Let's get into it. Lie on your back with your hips as close to the chair as possible and your legs resting on the chair. Your knees are directly over your hips, not in front of your hips. We want a pillow to ensure that the calves and the muscles of the lower leg are supported as well. If you're on a chair that's too low, you might have a lot of space behind your legs and it won't be able to support you, so your legs might fall out to the side. If it's a good height, you're going to feel really nice and rested here and supported without any effort or energy spent keeping your legs in position. But if you also have a really tight hip or a pretty strong hip imbalance, you might notice that one knee might want to torque outwards and rotate out to the side. So if you notice that, then I don't want you to use any effort to hold the leg in position. I want you to use a strap, or you can use a dressing gown cord or a belt or whatever you have to hand here. So if your leg falls out to the side, I want that strap to do the work of holding your legs together. From here, let your legs fall out against the strap. Now the reason for that is the entire intention of this exercise is to shut down as reasonably as possible the tension in your neuromuscular system. So I don't want any work to happen here. This exercise helps to settle how the left and the right side are working and bring both sides of your nervous system and both sides of your muscular system back to a more ready state, a balanced state, so that when we ask them to work, they've got a greater chance of working together instead of working with imbalances or compensations. So your job is to do exactly that, to just relax. There's no work that needs to be done here. We're using gravity and the floor as a template to settle and realign the body. Your hands are out by your side at a 45-degree angle with your palms face up. And you can close your eyes and take a couple of deep, slow inhales. Inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. Oftentimes, we put our body through so much stress, so much work, just to get through our days, just to get through life, that we deserve to learn positions like this that let all of that just slow down and relax. And understand that we can breathe and still make a huge positive impact on the way that we're feeling and moving. Not all exercises have to be work. And one of the greatest challenges is understanding that you can actually heal a lot of the problems with the body by taking work out. It's not always about putting work in. And if we can use this position to relax inefficient compensatory patterns, then we'll be on a good track to making positive changes to our body. It can relax the strength of a muscle spasm and just give you some relief. This position is going to be an incredible tool for you to start using on a daily basis, to start getting some relief and to make a change if you get a lot of discomfort during your day. This exercise is allowing your upper body to settle and unrotate, and the better your upper body is functioning, the better the lower body will function too. Now, you can stay here, but some of you might want to interlace your hands behind and put them behind your head. If you do interlace your hands together, that might actually feel really good if you're somebody that has a shoulder disparity, so one shoulder might be higher than the other, or one side is more rotated forward than the other. So bringing both hands behind your head can help open up your chest and put both shoulders in the same position. So choose, play around with which position feels more comfortable for you. Take a couple more really nice, slow, deep breaths. And I want you to feel how the chair is holding your legs and feel how the floor is holding your upper body. One of the many benefits, aside from taking your nervous system from a sympathetic, tension, high state of work down to a parasympathetic state where things are a little bit more calm or relaxed. So aside from that benefit, this exercise immediately places your head, your shoulders and your hips evenly on a horizontal plane, meaning you're in a straight line. We're basically positioning the upper body laying down how we want it to be when we're standing, and that is aligned. Now, if you notice that your neck is a little uncomfortable here, it's because it's having a hard time moving to that straight line. You always have the option to take a pillow or a cushion and prop your head up to maybe give yourself more of that normal environment, which is the head in front of the shoulders and hips. And that's okay if that's you today. Over time, notice how you'll need less and less pillows, and eventually the head will lay flat and aligned with the rest of the body. Keep focusing on nice, slow, deep breaths. There's nothing the upper body needs to do. Notice if it's holding any tension anywhere. If one side is tense, if your shoulders are tense, just relax everything in the upper body. There's nothing that needs to be done here. Now we're approaching 5 minutes, and I want to encourage and strongly recommend to you, if this feels good or if you're still feeling a little symptomatic, then continue with this exercise for as long as you want to until the symptoms settle, until that work and tension settles. And you can be here for 30 minutes, an hour, even 2 hours. It might take a long time to let all of that tension that has built up to eventually relax. So I'll let you choose what you want to do, and I'll see you on the next exercise. If you tend to have an excessive arch in your lower back, you can do this without towels. But if you seem to have a flat back, you can gently put rolled up towels to support your lower back and your neck. Either way, regardless of if your back is flat or extended, explore both these options to understand what your body needs the most. So take your 2 rolled up towels and place one underneath your lower back, directly below your belly button. and place the other behind your neck. The towel should be large enough to press slightly into your spine, but not too thick where it's uncomfortable and forcing your spine forward. The goal is that the towel acts as a support to gently encourage the natural curves in your spine. This exercise is going to take a little bit of time to figure out what feels best for your body, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. From here, lie on your back with one leg raised up over a chair or a platform that puts it at a relaxed 90-degree angle at both the hip and the knee. You might want to put a cushion on the chair to allow that leg to relax, so there's no work, no tension needed to hold it in place. The other leg should be straight out in front of you on the floor, and I don't want any work to be in the leg that's straight out. Sometimes wearing a shoe can actually help keep your foot in a straight position because the shoe gives you a lot of support, but play around with this with shoes or no shoes, or having your foot straight up against a wall like here. The straight leg should be completely relaxed without you having to use any muscles at all to hold it up. From here, hold this position for the recommended duration of time. Now, there's a lot of things going on in this exercise, but to keep this really simple, you've got one leg over a chair or a structure, and you've got one leg straight out. Now, this is essentially what happens when you walk. You've got one hip bent and one hip in extension, opening up. We're putting you in a walking position but laying down on your back, and the leg that's open and extending, that straight leg that's on the ground, the muscles in that leg will have to lengthen in a very passive, relaxed, subtle, gentle way. This is the world's greatest hip flexor stretch because it uses time and alignment and gravity to truly restore the proper length tension relationship of all the muscles in the front of the leg. And as that straight leg opens up and releases, the leg that's over the chair will also get a release as it's bent at a 90-degree angle at the hip and the knee. So in two different ways, you're bringing release to both hips. And pay attention to how you feel on both sides. You can hold this anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20, even 30 minutes per leg. And a really great trick to understand the time that you need is with that straight leg, squeeze your quad, and when you tighten up your quad, the contraction should be right in the middle of the thigh, that front thigh muscle. If you feel like the contraction is anywhere else, in the lower knee, the kneecap, the upper hip, maybe the abs or the lower back, that tells us that this hip has not fully released. So every 5 minutes, I want you to squeeze your quad and then let it relax. Where is that contraction and how is that changing every time you check in? And you might find that the contraction is in the kneecap for the first 2 check-ins when you start at 0 minutes and then at the 5-minute mark. But when you get to the third check-in at 10 minutes, you feel that that has started to change and it's moving gently up towards the center of the thigh. So let's say that you have to do 15 minutes on one leg to get that contraction in the middle of the thigh, but on the other side, the contraction happens in the middle of the leg within the first check-in or 2. So it takes a shorter amount of time. I still want you to keep a balanced approach. You want to give both legs the same amount of attention. If you use an imbalanced approach, you'll get imbalanced results. So give both legs the same time and attention and take your time with this exercise. It might seem very simple, but there is a lot going on here. There's a lot to understand, to learn, to listen, to tune into in your body whilst you're lying here in this peaceful, mindful exercise. And you're going to start to feel things that perhaps you've never felt before. So relax, breathe into your diaphragm, expand your diaphragm, take the breathing out of your chest and down into your diaphragm. Feel your diaphragm expand up and down behind you and left to right. So you can use this exercise as a tool to learn more about your body, and you can do it in a way that an intense exercise could never ever teach you to. So take your time, breathe, and listen to what your body's telling you. For this exercise, you'll need a wall and you'll need to wear shoes to stop you sliding all over the place. You can do it in bare feet if you have a really sticky yoga mat, but I'd recommend you use shoes. And I'd recommend you do these in barefoot shoes if you can, because most trainers have a slight heel. You might not think it, but they do, and that changes how the pelvis sits and corrupts what we want to do here. So I've got my barefoot shoes on here, and you can aim for as flat a shoe as possible to get the most out of this exercise. You have the option to use a block as well, as it helps reduce the likelihood of compensation through the legs. So have a block handy if you need it. Standing in front of a wall, let's make sure both feet are about hip width apart and pointing forward. Lean your back and your hips up against the wall and slowly start to walk out a little bit further, sliding your back and hips down the wall, just low enough so the thighs are about parallel. Make sure the middle of your toes, your ankles, your knees and your hips are all in alignment, and you're coming down in a straight line from the middle of your toes to your hips. From the side view, the ankles should be slightly in front of the knee and the hips slightly above the knees. If you have your knees directly above your ankle, you may notice a compression or tension in your knee, and we don't want that. So these angles will help wake up your hips. If you have this distance away from the wall, you'll be working your hips compared to if you were really close up and cramped like this. So being further away from the wall will help push the hips and the pelvis back into the wall. We'll be here for a minute longer. Now, if this position isn't accessible to you today, then don't worry. If you need to come up a little bit higher to be able to hold it, that's fine. Over time, you'll find you build up the strength to be comfortable lower down. If you find you're struggling to keep your knees aligned, this is where the block can be really helpful. So the block in between my knees is going to stop them falling out or from caving in. And make sure you focus on your feet as well. For most people, you want to be slightly pigeon-toed, so your big toe is pointing inwards a little bit more than you want it to, and the outside edge of your foot is pointing straight forward. So pay attention to the alignment of your feet, your knees and your hips. Keep your toes relaxed and anchor down into the back of your feet. The weight should be in the back of your feet, and you're using that back of the foot to help push your pelvis and hips back into the wall. Keep your upper body relaxed. You can actively slouch your upper body. There's nothing for it to do here. I don't want you to tense up and pull your arms and your shoulders and head back. That's not the goal of the exercise. Keep your shoulders and head away from the wall, and that will stop any compensation in the body. Don't forget to breathe in and out of your nose. The goal here of this exercise is to wake up the lower body, particularly the quads, so they do their proper role when walking instead of the hip flexors taking over. It's also balancing out the pelvis left to right, removing the rotation, the anterior tilt, and any disparities in the hips. You can relax off now if you haven't already. This is a brilliant pelvic balancing hip engagement exercise. It really wakes up the quads. You can do this throughout the day, even if you don't have a block to hand. Just focus on good alignment of your feet, knees, and ankles.